So today will be our panel. The topic is how and why we can improve the UX in blockchain. And today our panelists will be Andrea from Blockchain Games, Andreas from Triolith, Alyssa from PANONY, Damian from ITAM Games, and Dohyun from Bifrost. So let's welcome our panel. So I guess I'll give you guys a few minutes to introduce yourselves and talk about your projects and interesting things that you guys are working on at the moment.
Hi everybody, my name is Andreas. I'm the CTO of Triolith. We're a B2B game. Building a game as management. I'm currently in alpha version and entering beta during the fall. Hopefully we'll be in production in February. We're doing the NFT track at the moment to help our customers tokenize their assets for their players and to be able to be a part of a new era of game tech and possible monetization and so forth. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Andrea McGinty, and I am from Blockade Games. We are a video game studio building video games for mainstream audiences using blockchain technology. Currently in the works, we have a really exciting RPG strategy-based RPG called Neon District, and we will be rolling that out December 2nd, but right now we're in pre-alpha and having some really exciting experiences around that and engaging users.
Hi everyone, I'm Alyssa. I'm the founder and CEO of PANONY. PANONY is one of the earliest blockchain consulting firms in Asia, and we are focusing on Greater China area as well as Korean markets. So we help many top-notch firms and clients to facilitate their market entries in Asia. So for example, we are helping Trust Token, the issuer of stablecoin TUSD, and we are also helping Huobi, cryptocurrency exchanges from China, to help them to do the strategies and to help them to do the market expansion and user acquisition and so forth. So I'm very happy to join this panel with this very good project, and we can talk about more and brainstorm more further.
Hello, my name is Damian, and I'm from ITAM Games. I'm a Chief Communication Officer in ITAM Games. What ITAM Game does is that we have our own NFT standard called ITAM NFT. We help traditional game companies to utilize their data to issue as ITAM NFT on EOS mainnet. What we are trying to do is that we want to make a blockchain game store, which is a new market for differentiated from the Google Play Store and the App Store, so that traditional games can easily utilize blockchain technology through us. So when they're utilizing the blockchain technology, they don't have to provide any sort of resources or developers. We provide those. So if anyone is interested, please come after this panel discussion.
Hello, my name is Dohyun, and I'm a co-founder and CEO of Bifrost. What we are doing is kind of providing a platform in between dApps and protocols. It seems like I'm the only one from the blockchain technology itself. Everybody else is from game stuff. But we are providing lots of flexibility for the game dApps, such as we can provide marketplaces among different blockchain game dApps, like EOS, Tron, Thunder, whatever. And what we are doing is combining private and public blockchains so that any kinds of dApp can use lots of flexibility and the safety at the same time. And we are not exactly the plasma or sidechain stuff. We can you can discover about Bifrost tomorrow, probably in my session, 12:40. It's kind of advertisement. Okay, glad to be here, and please tell me anything you have any question and something else. Thank you.
Okay, so we have an interesting panel because we have some game makers. We have infrastructure and we have kind of consulting, different points of view. I guess the initial question would be, in some ways we're in an early stage reaching maturity across the ecosystem in some ways, but we continue to see this question, the UX, what are we doing? What are the main challenges? What do you see as the obstacles at the moment?
A lot of the obstacle is, from our point of view, getting game developers and their users a good understanding about why they should use it. It's not always super clear to them, I think, why they should use the technology instead of a regular database. For us here in the room, it's very obvious why we want to use it. The value proposition is very clear for us. And overcoming that sort of hurdle and communicating that very clearly and very easy for people who don't understand and don't want to get into the details of what it is. I think that's one of the main things for example, mass adoption and to move forward with the technology.
I say from the game perspective, creating a frictionless experience for the user, especially we're looking at mainstream users and having that mass adoption. So the ability to have someone just log in with an email and password and start playing without having to go through the steps of downloading MetaMask or anything like that, and just being able to play a game. So in our perspective, and that's really something that we focus on from game design, is creating that frictionless experience, creating a game that's super fun to play, that is game first for the players, and keeping that in mind in all of our decisions that we've made. And that, I think, at the end will create the mass adoption and have people understand innately the benefits that blockchain brings just from playing and then discovering what they get to go do with these assets they actually own after they've enjoyed the game.
And how are you guys kind of approaching that, that point of the frictionless experience?
We've built on a side chain, so using Loom tools, and so literally to play the games, all you need to do is enter an email and a password, and you start to. If you guys watched Ben's presentation with the Plasma Bears, we had our proof of tech, and that was literally, we had little kids and grandmas and everybody playing, and creating these NFTs, having no idea that they were actually doing this, but they were having a great time, and it was beautiful art, and that's yeah. That answered the question.
Yeah, so from my side, because I run a consulting firm, I'm not running the project myself, but I have seen like hundreds of projects and have consulted tens of projects myself and with my team together. And what we mostly find out is that like there's nothing wrong to focus on the blockchain technology itself, but sometimes we overlook the importance of the user experiences. Like I always recommend and encourage a project to think about, so what is your product if without blockchain? If without blockchain, if without the fancy term, like will people still play your games? Will people still use your platform? And like, so this is a very critical question to think about. Like you need to really build a product and something superior with the leverage of blockchain, not just like something blockchain, but something inferior and that people like yourself or your kids wouldn't really use it. So we ask a lot of questions to our clients to help them to figure out what they are really doing. Yeah.
And normally, what issues are they kind of coming to you with?
So we will. So some of the clients, they will like consult with us to see like if this product is feasible to roll out in the market, if it's ready yet. And most of the time, we will find out it's something very like elementary level. So we will give a lot of advices to see how to enhance and what's their similar competitors and so forth to help them find out like what features you should really add on based on blockchain or what is missing in your like picture right now. Yeah.
So I have a similar opinion as Andrea, but we're doing a little bit differently. We're not doing the sidechains, but we're providing the custodianship services. So what we're doing is that we have a social login method and our own identification login method for the game store. That means even though that a user does not have a blockchain wallet, we will provide our exchange like a wallet, just like an exchange, and have a custodianship for that digital assets. But if they want to monetize and get cryptocurrency out of trading their digital assets, they have to make their own blockchain wallet, so that we are going to send the digital asset they earned by playing the games. My point of view of the UX is that it will be really hard to make it better experience than the services that we are out there right now. But I think the key point is that how do we teach the users that why do we need to use blockchain? It's like telling them what the retention is and telling them what the ownership is. I think that's the key point of this technology, and we have to provide better UX for people to know that this is actually their digital asset rather than the custodianship services. So
I guess so you're saying in terms of education in some way?
In terms of education, I mean, it will be like, even if we are providing the custodianship services, there has to be differentiate. Like, why is it better to have a own public blockchain wallet rather than providing it to us as a custodianship services? So I think giving the education about the retention and the ownership about the digital assets is the key point to sustain the users to be in the blockchain industry.
Okay. Okay. At this point, I think I have to say something about the blockchain technology itself. For the good UX, I think the good UX provided, the good technology support is needed. For the blockchain technology right now, I don't think it's going to be really enough for the good UI UX circumstances. The thing is, for example, we are trying to make a UX circumstances for like MMORPG game with the feature phone. This is where we are right now, as far as I know. Because lots of blockchain game companies are focusing on number of users and UX, not the blockchain itself. They don't really care about the blockchain technology itself. They don't want to care, actually. That's what I thought. They just want to, separate some part, which they want to be decentralized, and that's it. Some blockchain guy will do it. But the thing is, there are a bunch of protocols. There are more than thousands of protocols right now, but game industry doesn't want to pick anything or doesn't want to really, try to do the research on the protocol itself. So actually, that's where, Bifrost comes, and we are kind of providing middleware platform for the devs and everything. But I think, when we talk about the UX for the game, we also have to think about the status of blockchain technology itself. It's really, lots of good projects are coming, but the thing is we have to really do some research on it too.
So right now, if you're comparing this to traditional gaming, for example, people don't, when you're buying a game or considering what to use, you're not thinking what programming language was used, what's the framework.
That's
you're
right.
About having fun, right?
That's right.
How do we get there? Because that's what's going to drive mass adoption. What are the obstacles that we have to fix right now? What are you facing? And how do we get there?
The thing is, user doesn't really care about the blockchain itself.
Right.
He told you guys about the
normal
teaching.
user, right?
Yeah, normal user doesn't really care. But when they first experience it, and when they know that their items are on the blockchain, public blockchain, and even though the server is gone, their item is still there for themselves. That's the beauty part of the blockchain. And he said that we have to teach them, but no, we don't have to teach them. They're going to get the experience from the real game itself, and the real game itself for the game developer, they have to really think about what kind of protocol and what kind of platform they have to use for the proper game circumstances, UX circumstances. That's what I think. So, for example, well, she's using Loom for that. That's a good approach because sidechain will give you lots of flexibility, and lots of other approaches will come. But anyway, well, I can show you how to optimize the scalability and the safety all at once with that's what we are doing. But
I guess one point would be to consider is who are we building for? So are we focusing on the whales? Are we focusing on people who are kind of already in this space? Who do we want to bring in? Are we trying to bring in people who are already playing mobile games or playing consoles? And what approaches do we need to be taking?
I think you can start. You can go this way.
no, I was thinking.
Maybe
So I could be the last
I guess
one.
maybe Andreas. Kind of how are you guys approaching this?
I mean, like, we need to have some sort of understanding of the customer, each of us. My customer is a little bit different than yours and a little bit different than yours. We need to have a really clear plan of how to cater to our customer. In our case, it's a game developer. They have certain needs, they have certain wants that they want from tooling and infrastructure that we provide. And you and your customers, the players, have other needs that will be communicated through your community. And that sort of communication, what we provide for the customer itself, is paramount to moving forward in this space, I think. And it's different. Every use case is different. So when you're looking at it, you have to really think about where you're coming from and what you want to provide for your customers. And we know what we want to do in Triolith and how we cater to them, but we can't do the same thing as you or Bifrost because we're different.
Yep. Thanks for answering my question. We're building games for people who like to play games. And we definitely currently we are working with a large group of founders that we've opened up a pre-alpha of our game. And this is one of the ways that we're trying to really engage our community and have them help us build the best game. So understanding our user for sure, right now, building an RPG, looking at that user base and having our community communicate any of the issues or their wishes and their desires. We think at the end of the day, really engaging our community will help us build a better game for everyone.
Yeah, so I also second Andreas, and I think that totally agree that like every game or every product is different and diverse. And so, for instance, we provide tailored strategies. For example, some of the games, they are not some for gamers, but some are not for gamers. Maybe for gamblers, like FOMO 3D. Like people categorize it as a game, but it's high risk, high return. I don't know if it's a game or what, but it's definitely targeting the different sort of audiences. And the players or the users are not just like traditional gamers. There are a lot of like investors or traders as well. So the strategies is totally different. And for myself, I was a heavy gamer when I was younger. So the kind of games I want to see is that I can cash out. Like I used to earn a lot of money based on playing games by selling my rules, selling my characters for online games. So if like people can really cash out from what they gain in the games easily, I think it would be a big like feature to recruit more gamers to join the ecosystem.
We're more focused on outside the blockchain gamers because, to be honest, there aren't many users in this space. There are lots of speculators and traders. And one other thing that's really bad about this community is that we're really distributed, even the community. Someone prefers Ethereum, someone prefers EOS. So that's why we are trying to become a multi-chain protocol. But still, even with collecting all those users, it's still small. We have to get more users from outside blockchain space. And blockchain industry can only improve itself by getting more users. But I believe, just like how it did in the early internet and the early mobile industry, game will get the users first, and then blockchain industry will actually start working like a business.
Yeah, I'm totally agree. Well, since I'm not, we are not developing games, I don't know what kind of user I have to get. But, 3 years ago, about 3 years ago, I and my co-founder believed that blockchain will change the world eventually sometime, pretty soon. After 3 years later, right now, what happens? No, nothing really happened, and just only less than 1% of the whole worldwide population know about the blockchain, and we are the top 1%. And what I thought was, blockchain will change the world. That's what we believe in, and everybody believes in right here. But the first step of changing the world by blockchain will be the app or games or whatever that people use. And that's, I think, the start point is the game. Like you guys said, that the game has lots of users. So I hope that, if there's some nice infrastructure, platform, UX, whatever, if you guys can, get people from outside of the blockchain and make them experience about the wholly new system, then that's going to be the start point of the blockchain that changed the world.
An interesting point is this kind of engaging your users to see what they're thinking and what they need. How are you guys approaching this? Andrea?
So through that founders sale that I was speaking about, we're basically we're sending this group weekly builds of the game with noted improvements that they've been actually actively participating in and suggesting and helping us move forward as far as the game build goes. And then we communicate in different channels, sending them updates and engaging, gathering their feedback, sending surveys, communicating that on our different social channels and that kind of thing as well, try to get the best product out there for them. And again, trying to build great games for gamers, really engaging that community is really important to us, and we try to keep that central in everything that we do.
What channels are you normally targeting?
We have Discord, and we have an internal kind of newsletter for just a specific group, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, your traditional social media, email blasts, all that good stuff.
How about you guys, Damian?
For now, we're more focused on blockchain communities because we believe we cannot teach everyone first, but we teach the people who already know about the blockchain, and when they play the game, they will eventually, teach the people who does not know anything about the blockchain spaces. So we're working closely with the block producers on the EOS mainnet right now, and some of the regional blockchain projects where we help them promote in Korea and they help them promote us. So it's more of a collaborating the promotions and stuff like that. Even though there isn't any business relationship, we try to engage as much blockchain community as possible. Yeah.
So do you see, so there's essentially two blockchain communities and you become kind of a shared community?
Yes, that's correct.
How do you then,
Oh.
Then it just becomes, it's the same kind of number, it's not increasing. How do you start increasing those?
So it's more like we provide them a new kind of a login method. So some of the projects has identification projects. We provide a identification layer for them to log into our platform to play the games and stuff like that. So that's the beginning part. But even though there aren't any correlationship, But still, like we are not getting many people from Western cultures. Most of them are from Korea and China, and lots of them on Southeast Asia. So we are trying to get more partnership on the Western sector. Yeah.
So ideally, where would you guys like to see this going? Where do you think it's going in 6 months, 12 months, long term? Where should we be targeting in the short term then, and how to get there?
For the blockchain, right? Or the gaming? Okay. For gaming, I think it's still early, and there are lots of NFT standards popping up, and lots of people are gathering. That's good, but I think this is time for it to actually test non-fungible tokens, and the market will actually learn which they will prefer. It has been like that on any kind of industry. Like we should test and compete each other first, and then if something good happens up, then we can gather up and like start building from that. So I think this is the good time to test something on how the blockchain game will build, and if some good results come out from any projects, we can actually look that as a flagship for the business model and follow that lead. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I agree that right now it's still premature and it's still under pilot test and still under a lot of optimization at the moment. So in this year or in this coming quarters, I don't think a lot will change from now. But I hope like the developers and the founders, they can be more creative to figure out something like really blockchain native and really different from all the other existing right now. And maybe hopefully 2020 we can see something new in here.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely super early, but we're in this very exciting space of, like, we call it sometimes complementary competitiveness, where as a team, we're all going to create this really interesting and dynamic market that could be a complete paradigm shift in the gaming world, especially where we sit. So we're really excited to see that where that goes, and that's going to be baby steps, and then I feel like we're going to hit a full sprint ahead, which will be exciting and scary at the same time.
Yeah, and I agree with all of you that, but where we are in this stage is super early. But we see people at the forefront like Animoca and you guys and everybody else who's doing super cool work to be able to prepare for mass adoption, regardless if it's tooling or a game or consulting in strategy or whatever. All of these things that we do as a community prepares us for when the market becomes more mature and we will gain a much better foothold in how to move forward in business development, for example, what models work better than others, and so forth.
You've all kind of made an interesting point of kind of seeing interesting projects, right? Are there any kind of things that stand out? Any projects you're looking at for ideas? Any teams that you think are doing things that are particularly interesting right now? That can help us drive things forward?
For us, not one in particular. Mm-hmm. We look at a lot of different angles to try to cherry pick what works for different successful projects and try to adopt that for us as well, if it's possible. Just viewing the community that's building stuff is the best way forward for us. There are a lot of projects and companies that's doing really cool things. All of you guys are super impressive, and it's really inspiring to hear you talk about how you view these things, and that's how we approach it, at least. And it's really hard to say those guys are doing the best thing, because it's a lot of people who are doing really, really great things. It's not one leader, it's at the moment a lot of them. I think.
It's like asking to pick your favorite kid. Yeah, I'm going to concur as well. There's a lot of really exciting projects out there, and I think we're all, again, really working to learn from each other, and it's exciting to hear what everybody here is doing, and and all of these discussions. So that's my non-answer for you.
Yeah, so likewise, nothing specifically, because in traditional gaming realm, there's a lot of categories under game. So likewise, for blockchain games itself, there should be more like subsidiaries and categories, so it's really not competing with each other. So what I think that we should do right now is that we should talk more with each other, so to create something better together.
We're looking towards many of the NFT standards right now because, as I said, it's early stage, and we want to think what kind of data we want to put on the NFTs. And there are lots of things that we did not think about it, but they put it in, and like, oh, that's actually a good idea, and put it in our standard and stuff like that. I think it's not more about the blockchain itself, but there's going to be huge adoptions by non-fungible token standards. So that's the things that I'm really interested to see.
Well, at this point, I think I have to pick some names because everybody says.
Nobody wants to avoid the question.
Right. Well, I think our target actually. The fact is, I don't know about the game companies so well. I'm really, sometimes I was addicted to some games, but about the blockchain game, well, I know some names, but I don't know what exactly they're doing. But the thing is, the starting point is, like Andrea, she's doing pretty good, I think, from what she talked to me. The first step of blockchain game industry is going to be the place where the exchange of NFT marketplace comes. ITAM game has his own second layer, but there should be some playground or some marketplace that all the games that from different protocol can do some exchanges or can do some fightings or transactions all together. That's the first step. And that's actually the goal of Bifrost too. That's why we are here in Game Blockchain Conference. And well, we're going to do our work pretty hardly. And we're going to try to meet lots of game companies and lots of good people here so that we can see the direction and the future of the game industry from here.
I think, yeah, and that's one of what we've been talking about is one of the main benefits of being here, just having the ability to meet a lot of people and talk. So thank all of you for coming today and participating, and thank all of you for coming. So that's the end of the session.
Thank you very much, everybody. And I think, unless anyone in the audience has any quick questions they want to ask the panel. There we go. See, I'm going to sneak. There's one here, and I'll come to you now afterwards.
My question is, what are the factors for a successful game? And in what way the blockchain will enhance those factors? Have I made myself clear?
Yes, very much so.
I think successful game, it's going to be always the same. Fun game will always be sustained in business, and by providing the ownership, actually user can have a different entertainment sector that they did not ever had. So I think it's not about like how to issue digital assets quite well. It's more of like how to make the game fun first, and then giving the true ownership to the users. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, just me. Okay. Sorry. I think there is some subtle difference. I think there's more that you could add to that. I mean, one of the things we were looking at when we were looking at the Reality Clash stuff was how could you make it so that the thing that I love in playing this game, I can play over there, and where can other people who are making really interesting game ideas see those assets and go, oh, I've got something else I can add, which will make the player's experience even more exciting. And I think that's really the heart of it for me. Blockchain is just an enabler for us to do new things that entertain players. Cool, I'm going to just pass the mic down here.
Yeah, hi. So my question is, so Damian talked about raising the awareness and education about blockchain in the traditional gaming industry. And we are all aware about the value proposition that blockchain brings into gaming. So my question is, how is your pitch different to game developers and to players when you are talking to them about blockchain and its benefits in the gaming industry?
Is this question targeting anyone or in general? So I think for blockchain games, I think I agree with the ownership part, and the second part is the price fluctuation. Like some games, they have their own token, and so if you play a traditional game, maybe that's the value you got. It's like playing something in the casino. Maybe you want $1 million, but in the blockchain, it's like double gaming. Like one part is the money you earn, and then it's the potential of the money it could be, the future. So I think some people are speculating it, but that's not a bad thing because like it gives you a lot of spaces of imagination. So I think that's one part, so ownership and the spaces for imagination. Yeah, that says quite a lot of difference from traditional games. Yeah. Anyone?
I think also the collectability and the reputation that you can build within using that asset. And again, when we get into the real discussions about interoperability between games and different companies, that will be very exciting for a player. That if they have an emotional attachment to something, that they'll be able to keep for forever and maybe give to a child. Or there's an ability to, if you're a famous streamer, you can go ahead and auction something off and raise money for your favorite charity, and then you keep that. And as we're building this industry, we'll really be able to flush those different exciting features out and share those, because there are so many. And we're really, to be honest with you, just talking about the very tip of what NFTs will bring players and the game industry as a whole.
And I know we're eating into lunchtime, but I can't resist a final question. So.
So before the fun part of the game exists or appeared, how do you think we can take the advantage of the user experience to acquire the new players or retain the players? It's a general question.
Okay. So before we have a fun game to play, how do we get that user experience? Is that correct? So I would say engaging the community, and before we actually have a product to share, to really talk about what we're building, how we're building, how they're going to benefit, and sharing that as much as we can. And in our case, like with beautiful art, and talking about the storyline and the things that getting them excited about the game that's coming.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much like any kind of experience where we're trying to pitch something to an audience where we haven't delivered yet is always a challenge. But again, it's about exploring the mythology that we're creating around that game and creating the excitement and actually letting people in on that kind of inner voice that we've got, the thing that's driving us when we're talking to investors, the thing that's driving us when we're getting teams to work with us and creating that aspiration for making this game real. And I think that's when we're starting to use initial item offerings as a model where we can say sell land in our game. We don't sell land in our game, we're selling an idea that they want to be part of and that they can engage with. And if we can sell that idea, that's when we can engage people early. But it is not trivial. Yes, anyway, on that note, thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much, audience. Thank you for indulging us into your lunchtime. This is going to carry on in blockchain in the afternoon. I will unfortunately not be your host, but I'll be your host tomorrow. I'm going to go off and talk about monetization in a second. But basically, I have to thank our wonderful sponsors. Obviously, that's the Subport people, and also Animoca Brands, and our gold sponsors, which is Apani and Zolia. So please, obviously, check those guys. But of course, I must and cannot miss the sponsors for this track, which is Matic Networks. Thank you very much, guys.